Hello, once again, coming to you from the Lamey's building in Sedalia, Missouri, with an interview with Mr. Joshua Heimsoth. I'm Rick Jey, and this is Spotlight on the Arts. Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. Please join me, if you would, in welcoming Mr. Joshua Heimsoth, a well-known artist in the area of Sedalia, Missouri. Mr. Heimsoth, Joshua, if I may call you the first, welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while, and especially meeting you the first time as we shot some footage at the Liberty Center recently, which we will be sharing with the viewers of some of your fantastic, awesome works, I guess you could say. So welcome, and glad to have you here.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Super, super. Well, you know, we always start off with the world and what have you, sort of being introduced to Joshua Heimsoth. Can you tell us a little bit about Joshua Heimsoth? Kind of look at the camera and share that, if you would.
Well, local kid, born and raised on a farm, grew up helping dad, around machinery all the time, grew up church every Sunday and most Wednesdays, and went off to college, learned a little bit about art, took what I knew about art, wrapped it in with what I learned growing up, and kind of just been going ever since.
I see. Well, can you tell us what inspired you really to begin with? Can you remember back to whom or an event? For example, we had an artist down around Chillicothe, Missouri, that was inspired by a Monet should we say exhibit, and then all of a sudden the lights started going off. He said, I think I'd like to try this. So how was you first inspired this?
As a kid, like my brother was drawn to sports and agriculture was a big thing where I was growing up, and I was interested in those, but like I always was gravitated towards like comic books and like old sci-fi movies like Godzilla and pulp novels and things like that, and so there was just always kind of a slightly off-center creative streak in just my personal life and my personality that just sort of I kind of followed on my own and sort of kind of led me down the road I'm at now.
Super, super. Well, what continues you to be inspired, and what really keeps that fire burning?
The pursuit of perfection of my craft. The people I look up to in life, whether it's Teddy Roosevelt or Conan O'Brien or Nikola Tesla or an artist named Chris Cuxey, when you look back at their body of work, when you look back at what they did with their lives, you go, oh my gosh, when did these people sleep? That everything they did was interesting. They had great stories, and just like Salvador Dali or Max Ernst, like their bodies of work were just amazing. And I feel like I'm to the point now where I'm making competent art. So the next step in the game is keep that train chugging for the next 30 years.
Excellent. Now you mentioned your past, you're a family man, and you're also a school teacher at Smith Cotton. I guess you're somewhat inspired by those students. Do you have those students that's really wanting to dig in and learn? Is that inspiring at all?
Yeah, one of the most gratifying things that I do as a teacher is, I teach pottery and ceramics mainly. I teach painting, but You'll have students that, man, they want to do it. They see what I do. They bring me, videos off of TikTok or Instagram, and they're like, Mr. H, how do I make this? And you kind of show them, and they fight it, and they battle, and they battle. And those days when it just clicks in their head and they get it, and they kind of bump up to that next level, and they know that hard work has paid off. It's one of the most gratifying things in the world to kind of help them along in their journey.
And somewhat down the line, you might say that name, Joshua Heimsoth, might come up in their interview here on Spotlight on the Arts. Well, do you have any venues currently or in the future that you'd like to share where people can come and see this work of art? We've got some footage of a current show at Liberty. At the Liberty Center, I guess they call it. And so I guess you want to talk, well, you'll talk about that to an extensive level during that footage. So do you have anything other than that coming up?
I've got a solo show, a smaller one, over at the Heckert Community Center, also in Sedalia. I've got my big show, like you just mentioned, over at the Liberty Center, and the bulk of the work that I'm actually proud enough to show other people is out in those shows right now. Brand new baby on the way. Love you, Haley. Love you, little baby, name yet to be determined. So I'm going to take a break for about 6 months, make sure everybody's healthy and on track, and then this spring we'll kind of look at shows and look at opportunities and kind of get going on that again.
Excellent.
So, Family's gonna take a front seat for a little bit.
Super. Well, we hope you'll agree to do a follow-up show in the future after you get started again. Now, you mentioned the Heckert Center. That's a new community center in Sedalia, and a really great lady basically funded that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was fortunate to meet her about a week ago, so I could see the enthusiasm that lady has and wanting to share everything she can to some dollar amounts.
Sue Heckert, she's a wonderful supporter of the arts. She's one of the main contributors to the Heckert Community Center, which, in addition to all the other fabulous things it has, there's a small venue that's just dedicated to bringing artists in and kind of enriching the community in that aspect. She was a big sponsor for the Performing Arts Center that's attached to the high school, and just a supporter of the arts in general, and happy to have her in the community, no doubt.
Well, I would definitely want to give a shout out to her, and you really covered a lot better because I just met the lady. I've heard so much about her in the past, and finally at Fitters I got to visit with her. So, well, Joshua, it's about time for the break, so if you would make yourself comfortable while we look at a couple messages here at the break time. After the break, Joshua will fill us in on his favorite subject matter, materials used, and his special ways of completing a work, possibly, and with any special maybe techniques that he would like to share with you here on Spotlight on the Arts. So there's much more here on Spotlight on the Arts, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
This facility doesn't look anything like it did when I first saw it. My very first job was right here making Levi's for the J.A. Lamey Manufacturing Company. The people who I worked for were great. It was hard work, and it was brutal, but the family that owned the building were fair and honest, and they were great to work for. I worked here 7 years. My father worked here 21 years, and my mother 10 years. And it was just a great place. I've never regretted it. I started out in the shipping department, and I graduated up into the cutting room and worked there spreading cloth for most of that period of time. Well, absolutely, Ginger Swearingen would have been the individual who I remember most. She was involved strongly with my acting opportunities, and she was director and producer, and she was fun to work for as well. I've known the whole family for quite a number of years, staff and John and Ginger and Woody, and they were all customers in our business, and they've just done a beautiful job with this. It's just beautiful, and the people that I talk to who have been customers here and visitors have all enjoyed it a great deal. Everyone talks about the quality of the food, and it's just a very entertaining place, and I'm looking forward to it.
Creative, connection, control. Support the arts and be the change. 24 hours a day, 200 countries. The show must go on. Introducing the world's first exclusive platform for artists and creators of all kinds. The biggest stage on earth.
Stream Spotlight on the Arts on fanforme.com. Stream Spotlight on the Arts on GIAJ Global Media OTT Network. Google us or find us on Roku, Amazon Fire.tv, or Apple.tv.
Hi, I'm Rick Jey. And I'm Jeffrey Purnell, and we're here to introduce you to GIAJ Global Media OTT Network. Hope you'll tune in. Tune in and watch all your great shows by independent producers, music, and film, and podcasts. Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and or Google us on GIAJ Global Media Network. Get your free download now. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to continue my chat with a special guest, artist Joshua Heimsoth. Well, Joshua, before the break, you shared a lot. You've definitely probably got the attention of the viewers worldwide. So your thought and expression comes across really well. So if you would, please describe your type of art. I understand, yes, I guess the tape that we promised running, the footage, probably describes it best. How would you like to introduce that?
Yeah, my stuff is big. You kind of got to see it to know what it is. So I'd say the best way to describe it is to just take a look at what we got. Hi, I'm Josh Heimsoth, and we are at the Liberty Center in Sedalia, Missouri at the opening night of my solo exhibition. I'm a local artist. I teach ceramics and pottery at the high school at Smith Cotton, and I'm a big believer in practicing what you preach, so I don't just teach it, I also make it. So what we're going to look at tonight is some of my sculptures, some of my paintings, and just all the kind of crazy things that pour out of my head. So my philosophy, the things you're going to see tonight as far as being an artist goes is I start out with a sketchbook and I kind of doodle in, meetings and like family dinners and other places where I should be paying attention. And there's always a stream of consciousness flowing into my sketchbook. And when I draw something in my sketchbook, if I look at it and I go, wow, I want that in my living room, it's something that I pursue making, right? If I don't want it in my living room, if it's something I'm like, meh, and I'm not really that interested in it, I don't waste my time to do something this elaborate. So everything you see today is one of my babies. It's something that I love. It's something that's gone from my brain to my sketchbook to in the studio and then back to like full-fledged, hopefully considered a work of art. This particular piece is called Window to Armageddon. It's got ceramic, it's got steel, and then inside, I try to draw my viewers in. Whenever I'm making a work of art, I'm always conscious of the fact that in your pocket is a little device that is literally designed for you to be addicted to. And whenever I make a work of art, like what's always conscious in the forefront of my mind is I'm in competition with that. And I want something that's going to draw you in, something that's going to make you forget the fact that you have a cell phone in your pocket for at least 2 to 3 minutes. This particular piece, if you go inside, there's a skeleton impaled on a little space shuttle. There's a little scroll text in the background that says Armageddon will not have Wi-Fi. And it's just kind of about the fact that I'm not really sure where we're heading in life as far as technology and things like that go. And in addition to that, there's all this super beautiful glaze, there's all this super beautiful metalwork. So even if you don't like my extremely paranoid, like apocalyptic view of where the future's going, at least you can hopefully enjoy the aesthetics of the actual piece and the glaze and the ceramics and the steel. So this is one of my paintings that I do. My Flatwork is completely different from my three-dimensional work. My flat work is more of just kind of having fun. I like to keep an eye out for what people in my circle call couch art, where it's just kind of like boring old landscapes and things you'd find in like your great-grandparents' estate auction and things like that. I like to find them, and then so all of this was already there. This was just a basic print. And then what I like to do is go jazz them up. I like to put robots in, flying saucers, and just sort of whatever strikes me at the time, but I like to graft it in a way where it looks natural, and it's fun. There's nothing heavy about it. It's just having a good time with paint and trying to make an old, boring painting kind of freshened up and jazzed up. So this piece here is called Fun with Light. And there's a lot of ceramic elements to it. There's a lot of steel elements to it. But at its center, it has a couple of really bright LED spotlights. And one of the things I try and do with my art is I really like audience engagement with what I'm doing. So over on the wall, there's actually a QR code where you can scan the QR code with your phone, and you can download the app for the spotlights from into your phone, and you can actually control the lights. They pulse to music, they pulse to like the bass of voice if there's conversation. They transition from rainbow colors, from blue to green to whatever. You can have a lot of control over this. So it's a way to kind of get people to draw in and look at the piece. I love the smoothness of the ceramic form. I love working with steel. I love bolting them together and combining the two. And then you add in that extra element of light where it's reflecting up into the face, it's reflecting down onto the ground and through these little domes. And it gives my audience a chance to kind of interact with the piece and play with it without actually having to touch it or disturb it or things like that. So this piece to me is really fun. You say, oh, I can turn a spotlight on or off, but there's a lot of different things you can do with light and with transitions, and the app is really fun. So this is one of my newer pieces. It's pretty engaging. I'm pretty happy with it. Over on this wall here, I have a series of 3 vases. They're all kind of vaguely tied together. They all sort of have a metallic vibe to them. I grew up on a farm, so just sort of my sensibilities coming through from when I was a child. There's a lot of stuff going on with gears and things like that. And there's a lot of metallic things going through there as well. Just kind of a fun little series. So this piece is called The All-Knowing Armadillo of Omniscience. And it is a direct reflection of being a small kid growing up in a very Christian home in the Bible Belt. It has a lot of religious influences through it. You can tell it's kind of vaguely altar themed, but it also has a little dash of Eastern religion with kind of a Hindu 6-armed floating central figure. And I just thought it was kind of fun to have an armadillo that would be able to predict your future. So it's styled after an altar. There is an armadillo in the middle. There's a kneeling pad at the bottom. There's also a keyboard right here. And if you're so inclined, you can kneel before the armadillo. You can type your question in, ask it what you want, and the screen up top, it will type back a response. Now, I cannot personally predict your future, but if you'd like to come to the Liberty Center during operating hours, you are absolutely welcome to kneel before the armadillo and ask it what your future fate may be. Okay, so the first room we were in, it was more of an industrial theme. The room we're in now is more of I try to give it a botanical theme. About a year ago, I really started looking at bonsais and bonsai trees, and I love the art of bonsai. Just snipping and sculpting trees is such a fascinating art form, but what I noticed about bonsai trees was it was all about the tree, and they were always in super basic pots. And I'm kind of an ornate guy. I like stuff that has a lot of just sort of wow factor to it. And so I started thinking to myself, why don't you put a bonsai in a planter that is befitting a tree of such just majesty? And as I began to work on this series and build things, what kind of bled through was my love of old comic books and James Bond movies and cartoons where the villain was always in some super cool layer. Like they were in an old abandoned harpoon factory, or they were in a stellar observatory. And so these kind of morphed into sort of kind of ornate Victorian observatories where you've got this crazy beautiful vase with gears and filigree and all kinds of wonderful embellishments, and then at the top there's this dome with slit open doors, but it's been abandoned for so long. There's no telescope in it, there's no gears anymore, it's just this big tree growing out, because at the end of the day, no matter how many buildings we build or no matter what we do, nature always wins. Nature's always creeping in. There's always grass. There's always vines. There's always trees. So this is sort of a combination of bonsai planters and also kind of my love of old villains in James Bond movies and secrets, layers. So this is another piece in my observatory series. It's the biggest of that particular series. It's about 7 foot tall. If you look up at the top, we've got a little tree growing. We have your typical windows open, but as we go through it, there's a double tiered waterfall. There are 3 levels of Art Deco heads, because Art Deco is probably the pinnacle of all art forms. I love it, and I try and incorporate whenever possible. But once again, trying to draw my audience in and trying to engage them. I've got the waterfall, which kind of gives you an auditory cue to, hey, pay attention to me. I've also got a big stained glass window with some LED lights that cycle through several different colors to kind of give you some backlighting, to kind of give you a little bit of that sort of what you're missing from your cell phone. There's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of filigree. There's a lot. This is, even though it looks all rusty and metal, the vast majority of this is ceramic, and I like to try and sort of fool my audience, like which part's ceramic, which part's steel, and kind of keep you guessing as far as what it's made out of. And that's just sort of me being a master of my medium and trying to kind of flex my artistic muscle and trick you into thinking something is steel or something is clay when it's really the opposite. So these two pieces are kind of my dabbling in digital art. It's the future. If you're an artist, you need to have some digital art in some capacity, is at least what all my teachers told me. So this is kind of my personal interpretation on it. These are literally just old computer screens that were bound for the dumpster to get recycled. And what I've done is I've framed them like they're a traditional picture, or maybe not traditional, but given them my own frame. And then there's just GIFs on the screen, which for those of you who don't know, a GIF is just a picture that's on a loop. And the fun thing about these is taking that picture that's on a loop and then painting and collaging and grafting things into the picture so that you can't tell what part is digital and what part is analog. So this one here with our happy little skeleton in the middle playing his little, I think it's a lyre, I might be wrong on that, and our little monkeys in the corner playing their flutes. The title of this one is It's the Best Time to Be Alive, because this was a painting from medieval times that's been animated, and the medieval times were the worst. And if you compare then to now, we've got penicillin, we have electric cars, we have robots that clean our houses, we have streaming services, we have cell phones. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world, but oh my gosh, I will take being alive after the invention of penicillin any day of the week. This one over here is sort of kind of like Illuminati culty sort of a vibe. We've got moai heads, we've got gold statues, and we also have this very cryptic beware the tilted sun. So up here we have a little tilted sun, and we also have a little slide box like when you're like the second grade and you're reading pictures or reading stories with your parents. And so if we slide this up, we can take a look into who's actually running our lives and ruling over us all. And according to this, it is Tom Cruise and Gandhi. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, maybe it's all just subterfuge and there's another layer and the Illuminati just want you to think that's who's in charge. I don't know, that's just what the piece tells me. So this is another piece in my series of bonsai planners. I just call it the sled because it has big skis at the bottom and it just seemed like it made sense. The top is kind of vaguely styled to be reminiscent of maybe a cathedral or an arch. And the base is a combination of my love for kind of industrial stuff. You've got the big tank down here, you've got wires, you've got a lot of stuff going on. And also my love of cantilever architecture, which is where one side looks like it's about to just drop off the face of the planet, but it's been properly structurally supported on the other side to create that illusion. So this piece is super sound, even though it doesn't look like it. It's meant to kind of give the viewer just a touch of tension about it. And then the inside, we've got our nice bonsai tree in the middle, kind of filling up that arch. And then in addition to that, we have sort of my very feeble attempt at sort of a feng shui garden where we've got a lot of sand. We have some stuff kind of like arranged throughout it. And it's just sort of kind of tranquil, a little bit of moss growing on the inside. We've got this very nice tree. And then when you pull out, that's where you get the tension and you get kind of the interest of the architecture. And it's just sort of a melding of maybe two different vibes into one cohesive piece.
Well, Joshua, that's a great clip, a great footage. It'll be recorded in the history now here on Spotlight on the Arts. So I hope the viewers enjoyed it as much as I did. And I know you were so excited to share your passion in that clip, and it shows. So thank you, viewers, for watching also. Well, Joshua, you do commission work, correct?
Yeah, if someone's interested, absolutely.
Would you like to share your contact information, best way to get a hold of you? By website, phone, or Instagram, what have you?
Yeah, you know what? I keep it simple. I have one social media, and it's just Instagram. If you look for Josh Heimsoth on Instagram, you'll see a profile picture with a dude with a giant beard. It's pretty recognizable, I think. HeimsothJoshua@gmail is my email account. If you liked anything you saw, if you think something like that is something you'd like to see in your house, if you're just curious about a technique that you saw that you're like, I'd really like to steal that and use that in my own art. I'm always happy to talk to artists. I'm always happy to talk to people that are curious. Absolutely drop me a line if you want to.
And we'll run a ticker tape down below this so you can't miss it. Okay. Well, Josh, we're about out of time. Do you have any closing words for the viewers? I know personal inspiration goes a long way for artists that sort of get hung up and don't know what to do next on canvas. They might want to grab some metal and grab their torch or whatever. Do you have any inspiring words for those young students or our viewers worldwide? Some don't do art, but they love to look at art. So do you have any closing inspiring words?
The worst thing you can do is nothing at all. Don't be afraid you're going to mess it up. Don't tell yourself, oh, I don't know how to work with metal, or I don't know how to paint with oil. Look up a YouTube tutorial, do a little bit of reading in a library, and give it a try. If the first 5 fail, who cares? The 6th one's going to be good because you just learned what you messed up on the first 5. Just keep making, keep grinding. That's the most important thing to success, is never, ever stop. Just don't be a stranger. Like I said, drop me a message if you want to talk, and if you're an aspiring artist, like I said, don't ever give up. If you get discouraged, that's fine. I do too. I go eat a Twinkie, I drink a Mountain Dew, I pout for the night, I go back the next day, and I get back to work, because that's the only way you're ever going to be successful.
Excellent, excellent. Well, that wraps up another great interview, inspiring interview that inspires artists, we hope, here on Spotlight on the Arts. Thank you, the viewers, for watching and tuning in. It means a lot to me and the artists as we put our energies forth. I want to thank Yves Andre Exlis behind the camera for an excellent job today, as always. He also has a business called Best Tech Media, and is open naturally for work, as we could say. So thank you, viewers, once again for watching. Rick Jey saying, stay healthy and safe. See you next time.